All right, coming right back in, and we are back with another late night session. And I think what we're gonna dive into tonight, and this is probably gonna be a bit of a longer session, if that's all good. Let me know in the comments, guys, or wherever you wanna let me know. Again, we got Facebook groups, we got 7-day Femdom challenge, we got Femdom Destroyer, we got private coaching, we've got Instagram, we've got Telegram, we got it all going on here. But let me know, probably easiest just down in the comments, if you like the longer form content. And actually, speak of the devil about long form content, I have almost an hour long video that's uploading as we speak right now, and it's actually been rendering for the last 7 or 8 hours. I thought it was going to be, I kind of wasted a lot of time actually. I put it on a higher resolution and it's like a longer video, so I was waiting. I was like, okay, it's rendering, it's probably take like a couple hours, and eventually I was like, all right, I just can't keep on watching this. I basically watched it render for like 4 hours straight and didn't do anything. It was like it was just a huge mistake. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. Just render the video and go do something else. Note to self. But I think tonight what I wanted to talk about, and so let me first say, let me know down below whether you like the longer form videos. Let me know if you like the late night session videos. And if you do, I think what I'm going to try and plan to do for this next week is try to do a late night session video each night and kind of do a little bit of just like Q&A stuff, questions that I get, and do some free stuff from either 7-day challenge or from Femdom Destroyer. And at each one of these videos, I will attach a free kind of clip or even a full-length video from one of the courses or mentoring sessions or something like that. So let me know if you guys like that too. But so the one that's uploading tonight that should be up, hopefully, I don't know, man, maybe it's just going to keep on rendering all night. Hopefully it gets uploaded, is going to be it's a late night session, and I just kind of talk about some stuff, some general Femdom stuff. But then at the second half of the video, it goes into a death role play, death meditation, death visualization, which I think is really powerful. Hopefully you guys, when you watch that and do that, it really, if you can close your eyes, lay on the ground in a quiet room, and really let as much emotions come up through that death role play as possible. And a lot of times when I tell people I have a death role play, I was talking to a guy the other day, and I was like, hey man, I've been working on this death role play and some of these visualizations. And he's like, oh my God, what is that? And he's like, that sounds terrifying. And it is a little morbid. I will agree with that. But I would also say that it is very relieving. It's not meant to be negative. It's actually very positive, extremely beneficial, and extremely powerful. So hopefully that will be up tonight. But what I wanted to go into tonight, and we'll talk about some other key points first, but what's going to be in the second half of this video will be a courage visualization from the 7-day challenge. And that's also really powerful. And that one actually starts out with a guided release, which is breath work. It's pranic breathing. Pranic is spelled Pranic. And it's kind of similar to like if you get involved with energy chakras, but it's pretty good. It's really good at removing like energy blocks and held tension that you probably have had for years, in many cases even when you were a kid. And so it's good at that. But then what I do is I kind of transition into a more of like an improv visualization where I have you reclaim your courage back. Because I think what ends up happening so often is that, and this is what I want to talk about before talk about before getting into the second half of the video is this idea that you kind of give away your courage, which means you give away your power. And we all have kind of lost our courage at some point in our life. Maybe, I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons what could have happened. I mean, it could have happened to you when you were in grade school. It could have happened, I mean, maybe you had bad parents that didn't support you. Maybe it happened to you later on and when you got a job. It could have happened at any point. But when I talk about giving away your courage, how I really look at courage is this base level to where most people are, in my opinion, under the level of courage, which when you're addicted to Femdom, you're going to be almost guaranteed under this crucial level. So what exactly is this crucial level of courage? Well, when you're at courage or above, you are pushing into the unknown. You are pushing into what is uncomfortable. You are taking action. You are getting stuff done. And when you're below that, you're in negative looping, you're in self-sabotage, you're in Femdom addiction, you're in substance addiction, you are in low vibration energy, LVE. And when you are in this lower level, you can't ever, again, break out of Femdom. And this happened to me for a long time, and it was incredibly hard for me to handle because I would always be relapsing. And again, these are the questions that I'm like asking. I'm like, okay, why? Why? And it's the same thing. Why are addicts most of the time, 90% of the time, I just pulled that number out of just randomly. I don't know if it's 90%, but we know that most addicts, most Femdom addicts, they don't ever really recover. They don't ever really get out of the addiction. It's that way with all addictions, right? Most people, I have, for example, I live in an apartment, and the upstairs neighbors that live above me are like hardcore alcoholics. And the guy that lives down below me is like in his 60s, and he's also a hardcore alcoholic. I think he drinks like 100 beers a week because I see at least 330 packs every single week. And he's been like this for probably 40 years, right? So it's like most of these guys, and he'll be like that till he dies. And most people don't get out of these addictions. So why is that? Why do most people settle into an addiction and then live out the rest of their life like that? Do you want to live the rest of your life addicted to Femdom? I think the answer is you absolutely do not want to live the rest of your life like this. I think you do not want to live the rest of your life the way you are living right now. And I'm hoping that if you are here watching this video, that is the case. So we're gonna get this stuff goddamn handled. We are going to figure out why, and that is what we are doing. And we do have, I believe, the answers, especially outlined in 7-day challenge, which I highly recommend everybody go click on beatfemdomnow.com. I just built this. This is a simple site. It's got the video on there. It's got, to be honest, it just has a bunch of basically BS. Just go on there, watch the video, and click on one of the buttons, and then just go to the checkout. That's really it. But it's kind of you don't really have to read into it. But I believe it's all laid out in that 7-day challenge extremely effectively. It's kind of my own personal experience meshed with about 100 books that I've read and extrapolated ideas from, meshed with also my experience with other substance abuse addictions. And actually, you know what? Since this is a late night session and I think it's going to be a longer video, I want to hop into that really quickly. Okay, number one, I have a lot of ideas. See, I have so many. I'm extremely creative in the sense that I get all these ideas, and the key for me is like really just throwing out like 90% of them, because a lot of them are ideas that they're either too abstract or they're just not, they're just bad. So I'm always trying to keep the ideas flowing, but realize that a lot of them should just go into the trash can. But so the first thing that I wanted to say is that I've been really enjoying filming these late night sessions, and I find that in many ways I get some of my most work done when I stay up late. Now, I would actually consider myself to be a morning person in the sense that I like waking up with the sun, but I can also appreciate, and I've read a lot of, especially a lot of novelists and authors will talk about how they get their books written between like the hours of 11 p.m. and 5 in the morning, 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. It's something about the sun going down, everything kind of being like restful, but you're like just focused working and everyone else is sleeping. I don't know, but I can understand there's this kind of like creativity zone that arises. Let me know in the comments too if you guys have experienced that. But so I had been like very strict about going to sleep early, like real early. Like, I mean, like even a few months ago, I had some nights where I was like in bed by like 9:50 p.m. Like I was at 9:50, time for bed, lights out, and I'd be like asleep by maybe, I might listen to a podcast or something like that for half an hour. But you know, I would be in bed early. And what I was finding was that I was waking up oftentimes at 3:30 in the morning. And what it seems too is that not only am I able to get a lot of work done between, I would say maybe like 10 o'clock at night and maybe 2 in the morning ish, but I also find that when I go to bed a bit later, I'm able to sleep through like a full solid 6 or 7 hours. So that's been interesting. So I'm definitely experimenting with that more. But ultimately, I do think that for longevity and health, it's probably optimal to go to bed as close to the sun going down and then waking up as close to the sun coming up, I think, probably. But I think that when you're trying to blitz work, sometimes you got to just stay up all night and work. But so, okay, so that was one idea that I had. So we got that one out of the way. And again, hopefully you're enjoying these late night sessions. I'm going to try to do one every night. Sunday night right now on as I'm filming this, as this is being recorded, and hopefully we will, if you guys enjoy them, gotta let me know. But the plan is to do one every night, late night session for the next week, and that's the game plan. So or maybe longer even if they, you know, if I can ever render the videos and upload them. So moving along, the other idea that had popped into my mind was, and this is just going to be a quick point, but any of you guys, if you are addicted to poppers and Femdom at the same time, it is okay, Femdom addiction is hard enough to figure out why you keep on relapsing. And I was debating about talking about this, and I actually don't know if it's a good idea to even talk about it, only because I don't know if I want to even really say this, but just because I'm open about all this stuff. It has nothing to do with me not wanting to talk about it for myself. It's just because I think other people sometimes might not even know about something when it comes to like an addiction, and then because I say it, it like makes them more inclined to want to try it. I'm not sure, but what I'll preface this by saying is that don't start doing this at all, because this is what hooked me in, like just freaking stake into my heart for a couple years. But I got hooked on sniffing poppers and watching Femdom, and I was pretty hooked on Femdom before. And then when I had always watched, you know, videos and was like, saw these like this little bottle of poppers, and like, one day I ended up getting a bottle. And let me also say that I have a whole section in Femdom Destroyer in the bonus content that goes into poppers addiction and my breakdown on it, and basically the revelation that I had in order to beat Femdom and then beat poppers. I kind of like have to break it down and essentially compartmentalize it, because it gets kind of crazy. But essentially what I realized was that, and if you guys don't know what poppers are, they're essentially, do not do them. You're gonna screw yourself. If you're already into Femdom, do not do poppers, please. But essentially they're an inhalant that you sniff, you smell, you inhale the vapor. In the US, it's generally isobutyl nitrate is the chemical name. Rush and Jungle Juice are the two probably most notorious brands. But yeah, when I got meshed in there with the poppers, it's like I just was just like goon times 100, like goon state like crazy. But so, and I'm not exactly sure why I wanted to bring this up, but I just wanted to talk about it. But anyway, I have a whole section. I don't think I'm gonna really go into it too much more in this video, but I have a whole section in Femdom Destroyer that kind of breaks down how to get rid of a poppers addiction. And what I'll just wrap with this point is that what I found was that even after I had beaten Femdom addiction, I was still actually addicted to poppers. And I basically found out that I realized that this is going to sound really it's going to sound really bizarre, but essentially I was addicted to the auditory sound of watching videos while high on poppers. And this probably makes no sense if you don't know what poppers are, so I'm just going to wrap this little part up. But essentially I had watched this or listened to this podcast of this dentist who had come off of a nitrous oxide addiction. And nitrous oxide is actually very similar, the effects, to poppers, to isobutyl nitrate, and very short acting. So the dentist, nitrous oxide is laughing gas. So they have it in, it's very easily available in a dentist's office. So a lot of dentists get actually addicted to nitrous oxide. And what the dentist was saying was that he was addicted not necessarily to the nitrous, but he was addicted to doing nitrous and listening to like Pink Floyd, or it was some sort of Tool or some band. He was like addicted to that. And I realized like that was why I was addicted to the poppers. But it was crazy because even after I stopped watching Femdom, I was still addicted to the poppers. And another thing to realize with addictions is that, and this is all tying together into this idea of courage, if you're wondering. I'm trying to kind of tie it all together. But so with the poppers, when I realized was that I was addicted to the auditory sound of it, but I also realized that I was addicted to the process of going to the store to get them, and the conversation that I would have, and the process of opening up the bottle, and all these things that go into it. So, and that's in many cases the same thing with the Femdom addiction. Is you're addicted to getting into your little goon space, and it's like your safe space, and you've got your lube there, and you've got your whatever, you got your whole setup. So you got to break out of that, and you do that by getting into courage, essentially into this crucial level. And courage is like, it's just a very admirable trait. And as you can start to, it's going to be really hard to get into courage at first, but as you continue to push into courage, you get to the point to where you actually look forward to doing things that are hard, and you push into things that are uncomfortable, that have a certain level of uncertainty, and you start living your life like that. And when you start doing that, what you do is, I call you tip the scale. So that whereas before it was easy to stay in Femdom, I called Femdom my safety blanket. Like it was my blankie. Like a little kid has their blankie And I remember like my brother had like a little blankie when he was like a toddler, a little kid, you know, it's like this little safe thing. This is your Femdom's your blankie, but as an adult, and in many cases. So you have to, but what you have to realize is that as you start pushing into courage, what was easy to stay in Femdom in the past will actually become really hard. Like you'll actually not want to even watch Femdom anymore. And so reaching this level of courage is where you can start pushing into all the kind of upward spiral things in your life, all the things that are actually going to cultivate living a really a good life, a life that is worth living. And so I know that sometimes these ideas sound abstract, and that's why I really say, like, do coaching or go into the 7-day challenge, because I'll break them down a lot more. But essentially with courage, it's going to be hard at first. And the thing too, and this is where, like, in the visualization we'll get into it more, is that you likely have kind of given away your courage at some point. And it could have happened when you were a little kid. It could have happened at any point, really, but you've kind of like lost it. So with the visualization, it's kind of reclaiming your power, because having courage is your birthright. By birthright, it means something that every human has when they're born, something that you deserve to have for your entire life. And it's really sad when you see people, lose this, because, you just stay stuck in addiction, and you stay stuck in Femdom. And Femdom too is like, you have to realize, like, Femdom is all addictions are bad, but Femdom is really bad because you're constantly looping on, I'm a loser, I'm worthless, or I'm not good enough, or, and it's just all that. It's really, really, you're just looping on that. And like I say too, not only are you doing that, but you're generally doing that and watching these videos right before you go to sleep. So then you're looping on it more. So it can be hard. It can be really hard to unwire all this, but realizing that when you can reclaim that courage, and then when you can push into it day after day after day, you'll start really rewiring yourself to be a courageous person. You'll start rewiring yourself to take action. You'll start wanting to push towards the unknown. Whereas before, and I noticed this with myself for a long time, anytime something was getting a little bit hard in my life, it could be anything. It could be anything that was required a little bit of extra effort more than I was used to doing. I would relapse on Femdom, because it was just like my default. It was like, oh, I don't want to do something that's really hard. Femdom. I don't want to have to push myself and go into this situation which is going to make me a little bit uncomfortable. Femdom. And so you just are like, you're shooting yourself in the foot, but you're also have associated Femdom with like this nice, easy, relaxing space where you can just derp out and not really have to worry about anything. And again, if you want to stay in that and you're willing to just live a really small, unproductive life, I understand, like, a lot of people, they're not going to get out. But the goal, what I can push you to do is, I can push you to get angry. I can show you how to get into courage, continue to rewire yourself, how to get into courage. And then I can, basically will retrain it so that you get so used to pushing into courage that it's actually easier for you. And this is the key. All right. This is the key point about courage. It's actually easier for you to be courageous, take action, do things that are difficult, gain energy. Whereas before, I would be so tired, I'd be gassed when I would do something that was outside my comfort zone, Now, and I can show you how to do this. If you want to work with me, if you want to take the courses, you want to dive into this stuff, we can do it. I can show you how this is done. But essentially now, I actually gain energy from pushing into the unknown. I actually gain energy. Like I said, I stayed up the last several nights. I'm fueled with energy right now. Granted, I did take a lot of coffee today, but I actually gain energy from pushing into the unknown, things that make me uncomfortable, and things that require courage. And I have no desire to have any sort of self-destruction, self-sabotage, or femdom addiction. This is the thing though. For the femdom addict that is still in femdom, most likely you, if you're watching this, you are still gaining that dopamine spike, that hit, that femdom, drug, and you're fiending for it. And you're actually getting that kind of like, calming when you then go back into femdom. And I remember this, for me, it was like that. It was like, I'm pushing myself into something that feels really uncomfortable. Femdom, just sit in my room, get my nice coconut oil and lube myself up and just goon and dirt myself into an oblivion. So relaxing. No, that's not me anymore. So I don't feel like that anymore. If I were to watch femdom, which I would never do again, I'm not joking. It's done. I'm going to show you how to get here. We're going to get here. But whereas before, when I would feel super relaxed when watching the femdom, I'd be like, this is my safe space. I feel so comfortable here. I don't have to worry about anything. All my troubles are gone. And now, if I were to watch that same video, I would be so anxious. I would be just, everything, like my entire brain would be firing, saying, abort, 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 end this. This is bad. And I would just stop it. And the thing is that all those like sirens that are flashing, like X this, stop doing this. When you first started, I guarantee you, I'm talking to you. When you first started watching femdom, however long ago that was, a year ago, 10 years ago, whatever. Couldn't have been that long ago because the internet only has been around and social media has only been around for not that long. So, but let's say you have been in it for 10 years. Likely when you first started, your body was telling you, your body had this weird perversion that was like, this feels good. But at the same time, you were probably saying, this is a terrible idea. This is a terrible idea. Stop doing this. It's the same thing when you start doing, like I said, I have a lot of issues with, I've beaten all of them, and I can show you how to do the same, but I have in the past had a lot of substance abuse issues, and they start the same way that femdom typically starts. You start doing them a little bit, and then a little bit more, and then before you know it, you're doing them every day. And then before you know it, you're doing them 14 hours a day, all day. Typically, that's how addiction goes in. You don't typically just all of a sudden, spiral out of control in one day. It's usually a degeneration over time. But, and if you want to work on any of the substance abuse issues or poppers, because I know a lot of femdom addicts are addicted to poppers, and I was too. That shit is hard. When you're, like I said, one is hard enough when you have both together, or if you have also a weed addiction and alcohol addiction with femdom, Adderall addiction. I was on that for a while with femdom. That makes it really hard. Any of that, we can break those down and just work with me. Reach out to me if you have substance abuse issues, and we'll get those handled as well all together. But it's really hard when they overlap with femdom. But I got you guys covered on that. We'll get those done. But where was I going with this? So when you before were just, completely derped out and it was easy, now as you start to push into, let's put this over here, put this down a little bit more. You start taking action, you start hopping into courage. And now, whereas before you were like, oh, feels so relaxing, this is my safe space, now those warning sirens are just blaring, and they're blaring. And they likely were in the beginning. And what ended up happening, and again, this is what happened, for me too, was that I would have these warning signals like, okay, this is a bad idea. This doesn't feel good. I should stop doing this. And then you just don't listen to them. It's like when you become really in tune with your body and you eat a food, your body's going to let you know, like, this is a terrible food, whether it's through you have gas, indigestion, you might get acne, you might get like little muscle pains or joint pains. The point is you're getting this biofeedback. Well, it's the same thing that happens when you first start watching Femdom. Your body is saying, this is a terrible, don't do this. This is extremely self-destructive. And you basically don't listen to it. And it's the same thing with all sorts of substance. And so that addict, the hardcore Femdom addict, the hardcore heroin addict or drug user, they've had to basically completely nullify all of those sirens that are just blaring, saying, do not do this, do not do this, do not do this. And they've just, and it's hard too, because I always talk about the, and this is going to be a long video. I hope you guys are okay with that. Again, let me know if you like the long form content, or if you do not, and you want me to start shooting like short form stuff. Like I could do like YouTube shorts, like just like motivational, like quotes of the day, and like just like quick ideas, like hop on, let me know what you like. Cause I honestly, like, I'm just getting into like this this whole YouTube thing. Not really, I'm not just getting into it, but I am kind of getting into it, but I'm trying to judge what do we like here, what type of content, longer, shorter. Let me know in the comments. And I'm curious. And by the way, I super appreciate everyone that reaches out to me via Messenger, Telegram, picks up the courses, comments, likes the videos. I mean, I appreciate all you guys. I really do. And we're gonna get this stuff handled. That's what we're here to do. But this also is going to be a longer video. So, if you just wanted to see one of the free visualizations from the 7-day challenge, I will have it in the timestamps, and you can just click on that baby and it should take you right to the point in the video where that visualization starts. And I'll make sure to put that down below. But yeah, let's talk about more the idea that I want to keep it centered around courage, just because that's what the visualization is going to be about. But when you are not used to going into courage, it's really hard. And again, Femdom is your little safety blanket, and you actually feel good. You actually feel relief with the Femdom. What I'm going to do is retrain it so that, or the goal here is to retrain it so that it's easier to be courageous than it is to stay in Femdom addiction. And I'm always looking at all these hacks, and believe me guys, I read a lot. I was screwed up with this for so long. You want to learn something from someone that was so screwed up that they were like basically just breaking down in every way, because that's the type of person that has had to just absolutely scrap and claw their way to figure out what the hell is wrong and make breakthroughs. And remember, it's like, I'm always here for support and motivation, but I have been in the trenches with this. And what I can say is that don't feel bad about this, because what you have to realize is that most people that are just kind of like going baseline their whole life, they never go super low but they also never go super high either. And I just punch myself. So in many ways, I always say you actually want to have really low lows. You don't want to stay in the lows. You don't want to be in femdom addiction for the rest of your life. But the fact that you are able to go super low means that you can also boom and rebound and go incredibly high. And it actually creates an incredible contrast. So I never want to just say, like, I want to get rid of femdom. In many ways, like, and I'm that way with everything. Like, I have a very, I don't know if it's an interesting way to look at life or society, but it's like, I want femdom to stay around. Absolutely. It's made me into a much more badass person. Just like all my drug addictions, and honestly, keep them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having these things around. I would never want to get rid of them. I think that they're here. They're honestly okay to, you know, mess around with for a little bit. And then you figure out how to just be an absolute boss, get over them, become incredibly grounded, incredibly disciplined, incredibly creative, and you start working on yourself, and that pushes you and fuels you. And once you can condition yourself so that courage is that default state, you're gonna be a rock. And that's really, I mean, that's a very admirable masculine trait, characteristic, being courageous, pushing into, there go the beetles flying around. Oh, it's coming over, no. If you were watching the video last night, I had a beetle fly right into my face and then start basically, like, they kind of kamikaze in, land on you, and then start biting you. So, and I mean, they're vicious, man, these beetles. But I do try to have empathy for the beetles. I'm not, like, I would never just, like, purposely step on it or try to crush it, but sometimes it's a little bit much. But anyway, so when you can build this default courage, you are going to be unstoppable. And then you flip it, right? So you flip the scale. Whereas before you wanted to go towards femdom, that's what felt good, that's what kept you in your nice safe space. Now you are pushing, and your default is now courage. And once you can get to that level, like I said, you're going to make tremendous progress. But I think that just because the visualization is a little bit longer too, I probably am going to wrap up this first portion, and then we'll transition into the courage visualization, which is part of the 7-day challenge. And I think it's going to be, you know, just this way you can kind of see some of the stuff that's in there. And yeah, and let me know again down in the comments if you guys like the longer form, if you like the shorter form, what are some other topics that you want me to cover. And we kind of jumped all around a little bit, talked about some poppers, talked about some other substance addictions, talked about sleep a little bit. So, you know, kind of a little bit of a medley of topics here, but hopefully it was helpful. Felt like it was a little bit rambly, but I think without further ado, let's hop into the next segment, which is going to be the challenge guided release, or the courage guided release and visualization, which is contained within the 7-day challenge. And I hope you guys enjoy, and we will talk very, very soon. Enjoy. Welcome, guys. So we are gonna hop into the guided release section for today, which is going to be diving into all the feelings of courage and what has maybe been gumming up your subconscious and preventing you from getting into courage, from things that are stopping you from taking action, from prevailing over Femdom addiction, or maybe just things that you're just not doing in your life that you feel like you should be. So we're gonna start to dive into some of the energy blocks that you're holding around this. So what I want you to do is find a nice comfortable position. It can be sitting up in a chair, it can be lying down in your bed or on the floor. I don't mind. Wherever you want to position yourself is totally fine, but I want you to find a nice comfortable place of your choosing, and then I want you to close your eyes. And we're going to do the same type of inhales and exhales, also known as pranic breathing. And the cycle is going to go inhale for 6, hold for 3, exhale for 6, and then hold for 3. And I want you to really visualize on the inhales you getting as deep as possible down into your root chakra, or what I like to think is just deep down into my gut, deep down into my lower gut, where I hold all the tension, the negativity, the self-doubt, the trauma, the self-sabotage, the addiction, the negative looping, all that dark junk, all of that dark energy that is just sitting down there, and it's festering and it wants to spread. By inhaling deep into our root chakra, we're able to bring up this dark energy and let it go. And what we have to realize is that the energy wants to be released. It wants to be let go. All we have to do is breathe into it, let it come up, whatever it is that comes up, and then let it pass. And what we're going to do now is let's start with our first cycle of breathing, starting now with the inhale of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Exhale for 6. 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. And breathe normally. Bringing up whatever emotions come up around not having courage, not having the self-worth, not having the energy, not having the discipline, whatever comes up, just, there's no right or wrong, just let it come up, let it bubble up. And then I want you to really visualize breathing it out, almost as if it's a black cloud, really visualizing almost that smoke-like dark energy just being expelled out of your lungs, out of your nose, out of your body, and just cleansing your inner self of its true essence, and what you truly want to be. Let's just hang out here feeling a little bit better, feeling a little bit lighter, feeling a little bit more like ourselves, like we have less of a weight strapped around our feet, holding us back. And let's get ready for another cycle of pranic breathing. And again, try to really breathe as deeply as you can down into your lower spine, aka your root chakra, or what I like to just call your gut. Because that is where there's likely a lot more of this dark energy that is festering, this trapped emotion, this trapped self-doubt, the feelings like we're not courageous enough, the feelings like we're not good enough. Maybe negative events that happened in our life, still trapped, that we never released. Maybe negative relationships with our parents that we never released, or with siblings that we never released, or with past friends, maybe with people that we work with that we resent. Whatever it is that comes up, remember that it wants to be released, it wants to come up, it wants to be let go. All we have to do is acknowledge it and then visualize it passing out as a dark cloud of smoke, and it will be cleansed out and purged out. So let's start on our second cycle, starting now with the inhale of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3. Exhale for 6. 5, 6. Hold for 3, 2, 3, and breathe normally. Visualizing all the negative emotion being expelled out, releasing it, letting it go. And my guess is that there is likely still a lot more left. It's okay for right now. Let's just hang out, feeling, again, a bit lighter, a bit happier, a little bit less anxious, feeling like we have regained more of our power back, feeling like we have more courage, and really just feeling more like our true selves and less like we're holding all this weight, all this unnecessary tension, all this unnecessary dark energy that doesn't serve us. And let's just do a quick visualization. And this time I want you to think about you walking down the street. It's a completely empty street. And there's only one building on the street. And I want you to visualize walking up to the building. And this building has huge double front doors. It's got a huge, big entryway. And I want you to walk up to that huge front door and grab the handle and open the door. and walk into this building. Now, as you walk into the building, there's an entryway, and at the end of this entryway, at the end of this hallway, there's an elevator. And I want you to close the front door and walk down this front hallway straight down to the elevator. And when you get to the end and you get to the elevator, I want you to push the button that goes down. So you get into the elevator, and there's only one option. Push the button that says down, and the doors close, and the elevator that you're in starts to descend down into the building. Now, you finally, after a few minutes, get to the bottom. The elevator stops and the doors open. And you walk out, and there's another hallway. And I want you to walk down that hallway, and as you get to the end of this hallway, there's another door to your right. And I want you to open this door and take a look what's inside. So you open the door, and you are immediately beamed and feel this love and powerful energy. And you see this just radiating light that is coming from all angles and is lighting up the entire room. I want you to take a step towards the light. And it's a little bit even blinding at first, but you step in and it feels incredible. You feel this warmth on your skin. You feel the energy radiating throughout your whole body, your brain, your heart, all the organs. And as you step further into the room, you can start to actually see. And you feel like for the first time in your life, like you're able to actually see, that you're able to see the vivid colors, the warmth, and just feel this power and energy radiating into your body. And as you start to feel and you start to see the light even more, it starts to dim, and you can still feel the power and the energy from the light. But as the light starts to come down, you realize that you're standing in the middle of a library, a huge library. In fact, there's bookshelves that stretch around the entire room, all the way from the floor up to the ceiling. And it's more books than you've ever seen in your entire life. All sorts of books. And it's just this incredible library. And you start to notice that in the middle of the room, there's one book that's held on a pedestal, and it has a beam of light that's shining down onto it, And the book looks like it's almost a golden color. But I want you to walk over to this book that's right in the middle of the room. And I don't want you to do anything else just yet, but I want you to walk over. And as you get closer, you start to realize that the book is made of gold. And you can just feel this power, this light energy radiating out from the book. And I want you to just stand here for a couple of seconds and just feel the energy that's surrounded in the entire room, but also the energy that's emanating from this one particular book, this one book that's right in the middle of the room, that's by itself, that has this light energy radiating from it. And you can really feel it. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to pick this book up and hold it and feel it. And you feel the power, you feel the energy immediately transfer from this book into your body, into every single cell in your body, every single part, organ, muscle of your body, and it just completely transfers in. And you start to get the feeling like this was an energy that you once had. And it's almost like you can remember feeling like this before. Yet it's been so long since you can remember feeling this type of energy. And you now put the book back down on the table, on the pedestal that's right in the middle of the room. Yet you feel like this energy is still with you. You feel like you have reclaimed your power. For whatever reason, this energy, this book, at some point you had lost it in your life. And it doesn't really matter when you lost it, but the key is that now that you found this library, and specifically this one book, and now that you've come back in contact and you've picked this book up and you've felt the power and the energy, you have reclaimed your power, you have reclaimed your courage, and this energy is now something that is within you, that cellular level within you, and is something that you will now be able to carry with you for the rest of your life, and something that will enable you to always hold on to your power, not give it away, not give it to other people, not give it to other things, not give it to other addictions, but you, because you have found your library, because you have found this book, have today and always and ever reclaimed your courage and reclaimed your power.